Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. A geneticist in Trinidad and Tobago warns of Delta surge on the horizon. This story takes a lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 18th November 2021. Details when we return.
Conveniently located in the Grand Ann Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grand Anse will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Welcome back. On the heels of the Ministry of Health's announcement that the Delta variant is now the dominant strain in Trinidad and Tobago, one geneticist is putting the country on notice that a surge is on the horizon that is based on trends seen around the world. TV6's Alicia Boucher has the details from Morning Edition.
Geneticist consultant at Genetics Diagnostics and associate professor at UTT Dr. Nicole Ramlachan estimates that TNT is about 2 months behind several countries in the Western Hemisphere, like the United States, in experiencing a Delta surge.
The UK had kind of an up and down situation going for the last couple of months, but they are tending to come down off of their Delta peak. We are now transitioning in. And it takes about 2 to 2.5 months if you look at the data from all the previous countries. It's what we call a sigmoidal curve. So it starts like this, where it's like just showing up, just see a few cases, and then all of a sudden is almost a straight line up like this. Within about 2.5 months, that particular Delta strain, because of the high transmissibility, becomes the dominant strain, and it usually peaks somewhere between 98 to 100%.
And with that, Dr. Ramlachan says the country can expect to see a higher number of severe COVID-19 cases and deaths among the unvaccinated, as well as more breakthrough cases among the vaccinated population. Dr. Ramlachan anticipates that the lifting of the state of emergency would only exacerbate the situation.
I find it unusual that they are taking it off early. In fact, especially since we are in the midst of our logarithmic increase. Most particularly in terms of the mortality. Right now, we have the highest mortality, of course, without the data, proper data from Haiti and so on. But in our part of the world, we have the highest mortality rate, the 7-day rolling average of deaths per day, which is upwards of 8.58, which is very, very high.
With the Ministry of Health reporting that 93% of all hospitalized COVID-19 cases are unvaccinated, she maintains the most critical mechanism in combating Delta is vaccination. She is frustrated by the conspiracy theories and the continuous peddling of misinformation.
About how vaccines killing people more than virus and all of that stuff should be put to rest. If the vaccine was killing people, and I mean, I get very passionate about this, we would see very large numbers of deaths. Are we not seeing that? The large numbers of deaths are coming from the unvaccinated people.
Dr. Ramlachan says other than vaccination, it is important to follow the public health guidelines and protocols, such as staying at home if you are ill or are in quarantine, double masking in crowded spaces, washing hands and sanitizing, and physical distancing.
Especially in a surge, which is what we're having right now. We are in a surge.
Dr. Ramlachan says in about 12 months, the country would move to endemic status, and she's very concerned.
What I am most fearful of is that we're going to have a homegrown variant or another variant that is much more transmissible than Delta, much more severe than Delta in terms of the disease that it causes, and higher mortality than Delta. And if that occurs, then we have no more tools to fight it. Our drugs will not work against it if it is that you have it. Our vaccine will not work against it if it is that you transmit it. We're going to lose.
Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
Meantime, still on Trinidad, Illinois investors are being encouraged to do business in Trinidad and Tobago. Trade Minister Paula Gopi-Skoon tells the AmCham TNT webinar investors can enjoy some of the lowest electricity and water rates in the world. Urvashitawari Rupnarayan of TV6 News reports.
We have distribution where we serve our global customers. We have sales and marketing, customer service, corporate, all of that's here in Chicago. But the heart of the company beats in Trinidad. That's where we have our manufacturing and as a Class 2 medical device.
Meet Jim Swartout, President and CEO of globally recognized dental manufacturing company Myoson. He's at today's session doing business with Illinois Virtual Trade Mission.
They speak it beautifully, as you can tell today, actually better than we Americans. So they speak a whisper of the Queen's English, but beautiful English speakers. And also, as noted, very high literacy rate. So a well-educated population. We have absolutely no trouble with any of these fundamental aspects of doing business and make it a real pleasure to do business with Trinidadians.
He's telling prospective businesses about all the great reasons to do business here in TNT. Take the adjacent time zone, for instance, so you don't have to wake up odd hours to talk to the factory, or the competitively fair labor costs, and even shipping logistics.
We use FedEx to ship from Trinidad, Port of Spain. It gets picked up, it gets routed to Puerto Rico, up to Memphis, and then to Chicago. We will ship our goods on Friday, and I would say more often than not, they show up here Monday morning after clearing customs and FDA clearance in Memphis. The costs, which we've had repeatedly bid out using air freight, are actually as competitive as ocean freight with all the benefits of the time savings, because the carriers want to fill up their planes because Trinidad is also an import economy. And so they want to fill up their containers and their planes as they're leaving Trinidad.
He tells us he had been unable to travel to Trinidad for 2 years due to COVID restrictions.
Over that time, the people in Trinidad ran our factory absolutely brilliantly through the most difficult of challenges, including dealing with the pandemic.
Meanwhile, Trade Minister Paula Gopi-Skoon welcomed investors, saying the growing relationship between Trinidad and Tobago and the U.S. is a good sign, especially in these uncertain times.
Trinidad, a commercial center in the Caribbean, offers investors an environment that provides the infrastructure and resources required to establish your business. Tobago, on the other hand, is the prime ecological destination that attracts the savvy tourist and green economy investor.
She says investors can expect some of the lowest utility rates for water and electricity in the world and an adaptable and highly skilled workforce. TNT exports some $14 billion in goods to the U.S., and while dominated mainly by energy exports, it represents a trade surplus of 1.9 billion TT dollars. Urvashi Tawari Rupnarayan, TV6 News.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown outlines an optimistic roadmap for economic recovery. Rakib Aparicio of ABS News reports.
We will have to spend more in order to stimulate the economy.
Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown, speaking on Caribbean Entertainment Everyday Network, says the country is likely to miss several of its economic targets as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We could even find ourselves maybe with a primary deficit But I believe from 2022, we should see some improvement. And in terms of an overall deficit, more than likely we will be incurring deficits.
At present, he estimates the country's debt to gross domestic product or GDP ratio is 90%.
We may well have to exceed 90% and to go over 100% in order to achieve that growth objective. But ultimately, we will be able to restore those ratios to bring them down over a period of time. And hopefully by about 2030, we'll be back down to maybe 60-something% of the GDP.
He provides insight into ways the government intends to increase its revenues. Reviewing concessions granted to investors is one of them.
But we do accept that there was room in terms of reducing some of those concessions, especially for ongoing projects. Well, the new one we recognize you have to continue to incentivize, but having gotten those concessions, we saw a need to tweak them and to reduce the extent of the concessions.
Rakib Aparicio reporting for AB.
Authorities in Guyana are exploring the possibility of setting up a gun court to tackle a backlog of gun-related cases, and Jamaica's assistance has been enlisted to get them started.
Police legal advisor Sonia Joseph and Commissioner of Police Acting Nigel Hoppy, along with Deputy Police Commissioner for Law Enforcement, who also serves as the crime chief, Wendell Blanham, recently met with the Commissioner of the Jamaican Constabulary Force and his team about the impact of the gun court in Jamaica. According to the crime chief, the officials at the meeting were happy to learn that the Jamaican authorities were able to decrease gun-related murders and other gun-related crimes on the island as a result of this gun court.
So hopefully, our Attorney General will be able to have a discussion with members of the judiciary to see how we can establish a gun court in order to reduce the backlog of some of these matters which we have pending for some time. And we want to ensure that criminal perpetrators are deterred from committing these types of criminal activities.
Blanham was speaking on Monday during the announcement of the force's security plan for Christmas. He revealed that some 272 people have been killed by a firearm within 10 years, and this, he said, is a matter of grave concern for the police force. For 2021 thus far, the police have recorded 20 gun-related murders as compared to 27 in 2020.
Persons were killed by the perpetrators who decided to use a firearm. This is a matter of concern to us.
Conveniently located in the Grand Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair granaries will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.